Hi guys, Darren from venomfluidart.
With Bubbles.
Can't forget Bubbles.
Because I won't let you.
No doubt. What is going on here?
Well, I was thinking, we love doing projects.
We do like doing little
never
projects.
ever share them. So, I was thinking, once a month on our play night,
Yeah.
on our Saturday night video, we'll do a play one.
Okay.
So today, we have this fantastic cup,
Yeah.
donated by my father. We have the plaster,
Yeah.
so that's plaster of Paris.
Yep.
And we have 2 candle moulds.
Okay, so we're going to make candle holders.
Yeah, we are. And, of course, colour of choice by Wombat for his. And colour of choice for Bubbles. So, we are going to give this a go and see how our candle holders come out.
All right. Let's
it-
get started then.
I thought we could even get our paint pens out later if we want to dress them up. And
Yep. So, moulds come in a kit that we bought.
Yeah,
You need some little scoops.
yep.
Something to mix it with, which we'll just use a, what do you call it? One of these guys.
Yep.
Jumbo paddle pop sticks.
Love the jumbos. Really good.
So, mix it up with that.
And, of course, we have our bottle of H2O.
Yeah, a little cup to mix it in, some
Yep.
scales to weigh it out, our plaster of Paris. All right, let's do this.
Let the adventure begin.
So, what we're going to do is start off mixing our colour up first. Would help if this wasn't on a spinner. Nice job, Wombat. Right, so we'll tear the scales, set it to grams, which it already is. We're going to get 60 grams of water. I'll move around so I can actually see the... $55, 60
On the dot.
on the dot.
See, now Bubbles wouldn't have done that. Would have been all over the digital scales.
So for colour, I'm going to just add some old paint that I've got laying around.
Such a beautiful colour too.
It is.
I love the Pevio colours. Some of them are really beautiful.
I'll probably start off with 5 or 6 grams of that.
Alright.
Where did I just put my pop sticks? Over here. Okay.
See, and this is just something really cool and different you can do too.
Yeah. Alright, so I'm just going to mix that into the water.
Fun projects with the grandkids too.
I know, it's like awesome fun.
Or even with your own kids.
Alright, so all you want to do is dissolve that paint so you get lovely coloured water.
I suppose also too, if you want something different to sell at the Christmas markets or monthly markets you go to, try something new and different.
That's it. So you just make sure there's no lumps, it's all dissolved into the water. Doesn't take long. Alright, so we've got that. Now, we're going to add our plaster to it. So to do that, what we're going to do is zero that again, because we need about 160 grams roughly. So it's usually 2 to 1, so 2 parts of the plaster to 1 part of the water.
I'm gonna do jungle animals next.
Really? Alright, there's 90 grams, 110.
Will he get it spot on again? Oh.
134. Now, if you go a little bit over with the plaster, no big deal.
No.
It actually ends up a little bit thicker.
So close, 155. Oh. Oh, does it again.
Boom! Thanks for coming.
Magic man with measurements, I tell you.
Alright, and then we're going to just mix that in.
And always use, really good tip when working with plaster as well, never use warm water.
Yep, otherwise it sets far too fast.
So cold water is the only way to go.
Yeah. Good tip there, Bubbles.
I know, right? Look at me go.
Right, so all we're doing is just going to mix that in. Mix, mix, mixy, mixy. And you'll end up with really thick plaster like that.
I tell you what, some of these plasters too are really good to do moulds with. I did an artwork years ago that was in the art gallery, and used plaster and you know, like your tissue cloth.
Yep.
Made ice castles. Really cool to play with.
Right, and that the more you mix it, the more pliable it becomes. Just so you can tuck it down into the mould. Now if you've put too much water in, just add a bit more plaster.
And even it out.
Even it out. Otherwise it takes forever to dry. So, alright, that's mixed up. That looks pretty good. Lovely colour.
Pastels, doesn't it?
Alright, so we'll get rid of that one. Grab our mould. Okie dokie. We'll start with the middle. Now it's best to do it in layers rather than just dumping the whole lot in. That way you don't get air bubbles trapped.
See, and there are all little tips and tricks that you don't get told when you first buy your first kit and have a go. Does it?
No.
It's all trial and error.
So for something like that that's got a deep section in it, what I usually do is give it a tap. And that'll release any air bubbles that are trapped in it. Which, you can see that little air bubble that's popped up. One there, one there. That's just from tapping it.
Bringing them to the surface.
Bring them up to the top. Give it a good tap. And if you want to actually pop the bubble, you can use a skewer. Give it a pop, 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 pop. Alright. We'll add some more in.
So that's especially if you've got them deeper sections of your mould.
Yeah, it just lets it go all the way to the bottom with no air pocket. Alright, so I do that. Then what I do is go to the edge first. And just feed it up into the edge.
And the joy with plaster too, I find, if you do get that messy finish at the top there, really doesn't matter because you can just sand it back.
Absolutely, wet and dry sandpaper. You can smooth it right out beautifully.
It's a really pretty pastel, isn't it?
It is, I love it. I thought it would be a great base colour to have a bit of a mess around with.
Absolutely.
Alright, so you start with that bit there. Just give it a bit more of a tap.
You can see them just popping to the surface. Look at them.
Yeah, they all float up to the top. Right, just pop them with your skewer. I don't like using the torch for this because torches and silicone moulds don't really mix. The flame off a torch is far too hot and will destroy your silicone mould. You're better off with like a long reach lighter if you're going to use it, so you can.
Or a metal shish kebab skewer.
Yeah, just make sure you give that a bit of a mix as you go.
So in between sitting and...
Yeah, in between sitting, just give it a bit of a mix as it will start to cure as it's in the container.
So you don't really have a long time to play, do you?
Longer than what resin is.
Yep.
Usually by the time you mix resin up, you know, if you mix it for 10 minutes, make sure it's thoroughly mixed and all the rest of it. Depending on the brand you're using and the type, you're not really left with much working time.
And that can vary between different resins too, can't it?
Yeah, whether it's a casting resin or a countertop resin or something like that.
So a lot more time to play with plaster.
Yeah. Well, this takes about 2 hours for it to set.
Yep, but to fully cure?
For all the moisture to leak out of it, probably I'd leave it a couple of weeks at least.
Yeah, because that's what you don't realise, even though it is set, there's still moisture rising out.
Yeah. So, pop in bubbles.
See, and they're good things to know, because so many people that sort of try these type of things for the first time, you think because it's touch feel dry, that it's set all the way through.
Exactly, and it's not. It will take a few weeks to fully cure. So, alright.
Stage 1.
Stage 1 is complete.
And she's nice and smooth.
That it is.
Pretty cool on that.
Right. Just make sure the bubbles pop. This is going to be the base of it, so it doesn't really matter. We'll show you how to level that out if it's not perfectly level.
Absolutely we will.
Once it's dried. Yeah.
That's where your lovely wet and dry sandpaper comes into play.
Absolutely. Right, so we'll do that. If you want, you can tap the container that it's sitting on. Any bubbles will vibrate up through it. Like that. Alright, now we'll put that somewhere level to dry and we will come back with more.
Alright guys, we are back for part 2 of our craft and project week. So what we've got here is these fantastic things that we picked up. These were actually on clearance too at Spotlight if anyone's in Australia. So hot water goes in this one and sits on top, so that way you can melt your wax slowly and not overheat it, because as Darren did a bit of research as we're getting into our candle making now, and what did you find out about different waxes and temperatures?
They all have different temperature ranges that you need to melt them in, and what pouring range. You don't want your wax too hot, because when you start putting in fragrances and things like that, you can burn the fragrance, you can burn the wax, and they don't end up real good. So
no. Now, is there anything toxic people need to know? Any terms and conditions? See disclaimer for details.
Realistically, anything you're going to burn is toxic.
Yeah.
Simple as that. So candle wax is still going to be toxic whether you're burning it or not. Same with the fragrance. Got to be careful what fragrances you actually use. You're better off using a specialised candle making supplier for all your products. Which
is what I've got here. The Bubble's very favourite, the tropical coconut. And few little drops go a long way.
Yes.
You don't need a lot.
We're using soy wax here today. And there are different types of wax. You can use beeswax or whatever.
For different reasons too.
Yeah. You know, you've got pillar wax for making tall pillar candles, and Then you've got your soy waxes and a mix of soy for like your little tea tree candles and things like that. So.
And there's so much fun you can have too. Like we've been having a ball, just saying. So you can pick up your little wax flakes. So that's just different dyes.
Yep.
So like a wax too, it is in itself. But yeah, so open it up. So that way you can colour it as you go. You've got your little wax chips.
Yep.
I like those. They give it a bit of depth, the colour.
They do.
And then on top you can.
Pigmented.
We've picked two today. We've got a Harry and Wilma. So lovely fluoro pink. You can guess who picked that one, right, guys? And then we've got a Bubbles favourite here, an electric blue by Eye Candy. So we're going to add that in too. So what we're going to do is we're going to make 2 colour tier candles. So that way, since we did the plaster bases,
2 different colours.
2 different colours. So what we'll do with wombats is probably start with the blue bit on the candle first, and then we can finish it off with the pink, do it in reverse.
Sounds like a plan.
So all you got to do is just give it a stir, make sure nothing's sort of clumping together as well.
So what we did was boil the kettle, put hot water in the little saucepan underneath. That's going to melt the wax.
And I just stir it every now and then just because you do find some of the wax seems to find each other and get these really thick clumps.
Yeah.
So just giving it a stir breaks that up and it sort of melts really easily.
What you can use is a little temperature gauge like this. You can actually check, see how hot your water is.
I'll tell you what, it's so much fun. I've been having a ball. I've always loved making candles, but I want to get into some sculpting too with candles. I think that'll be pretty cool.
So that's about 80 degrees Celsius, that one.
Plus, I think these are just really cool gifts for people too when you've made it yourself. You've done your own candle holder and then the actual candle that goes in it as well.
Yeah.
And what I did find too, you can actually buy, hold that thought for a minute, keep stirring for a minute, Mr. Wombat.
Alright, so you just keep mixing that.
And how cool are these I found? So what these are, candle paint pens. I could give my candle cells.
You can.
That is super cool, right? So decorating with the kids or the family, I reckon that's a pretty cool idea.
Absolutely. So all you want to do is make sure all your lumpy bits are all melted totally. Little bit by little bit. It does take a while, but you know, there's no rush for this sort of thing.
No, not when you're having an arts and craft day. It should just be fun and relaxing.
No, if you overheat it, you're going to kill the wax and it'll just not work out real good for you.
So it's not worth rushing.
No, just melt the wax nice and slow. Usually takes about 5 to 10 minutes.
So what we can do...
See, we'd already started melting this before we hit record. Right, so they're your little chips.
So I like these with the pigments because I just think it
They're highly pigmented, so...
gives the colour that little bit of extra depth.
Yeah.
That'll do that one for you?
Yep.
And the Bubbles blue. And I found too, when using pigments too, do make sure that you mix them up thoroughly. Because I have had powdery looking ones as well, where I haven't I've sort of rushed in and gone, yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, it hasn't been fully melted.
So, and that's a big part of taking your time and doing it slow as well.
Yeah. So those little chips will actually melt away.
Yep.
And colour your wax really pretty.
Super cool.
But what we're going to do with this one is, I'm going to add some neon pink to it to make it a bit more opaque. And make it bling a bit better.
Absolutely. Now.
Grab some pigment. spoonful in. If you're using pigments, wear a mask.
Absolutely. And dust particles.
You don't want to be breathing that crap in, so.
So, and that's another one too. You can get the big glass jars, do little decorations on top, just a few little rocks, but make sure if you are going to put decorations on top, put them about 2 centimetres away from the wick, just to be on the safe side. But sometimes it's nice just to have something that you've handmade yourself too in the lounge room, kitchen, wherever.
Yeah. Bit of fun.
Absolutely.
Something different. Alright, so I'm just mixing all that pigment powder in.
And there's so many different cool moulds you can buy too. It's just like when you're using
Resin.
resin, yeah, because we found these ones too. Look at that. Gorgeous little succulent. Isn't that cool? And the beautiful little flowers. So it's just good to do different things, isn't it?
It is. Alright, so mixy, mixy, mixy. Mixy, mixy, mixy. Mixy, mixy, mixy.
It's looking pretty good. I might add blue to mine then.
Alright, so it's looking pretty good.
Almost do your stick.
I was going to stir it for you. Whatever.
Don't touch my blue.
Fair
Really?
enough. Fair enough.
You just fair enough to me.
Alright, so you're mixing in them chips.
Yep. And I think I need... Oh, gorgeous colour, right? Start with that. Bubbles. I could check all the blue in,
I know.
but I will refrain.
You don't need too much in there, just...
No, a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe a touch more. Oh. I think we might go a touch. Just a tad.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's blue. It's delightful.
It is. So you just mix that in, make sure there's no lumps, make sure it's thoroughly mixed in there.
Yeah, because as I said, if you don't, I've made the trial and error before, and it really upsets you when you pop your mould and it just looks powdery. It's not a pleasant look.
No.
Wasn't to me, anyway.
You can buy candle making kits that have a couple of moulds in it, comes with soy wax, it comes with wick, and other little bits and pieces that you're going to need to do it. And you can get them relatively cheap, so...
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you find them in your bargain stores on clearance and that for $5, which is cheaper than buying the mould on their own sometimes.
Yeah, it is. Alright, that is well and truly mixed. Perfect.
We are looking good.
Right, I can turn the heat off on both of those. We'll double check the temperature.
Absolutely. Here we go, mister.
Alright, so I'm going to put this straight in the wax this time. It's going to crawl up really slow. Okay, so that's pretty close to 65 degrees, which is pretty much spot on.
Now, this would be my time.
To add your fragrance. Couple of little drops, that's all you need. If you put too much in, it's not good, your candle doesn't set properly.
No. So, 2 drops, 3 drops max. Sort of where we've sort of been sitting at.
Yeah, give it a bit of a stir. Now, our moulds.
Yes, our moulds.
So they're plastic tubes. I've already threaded the wick through from one end to the other.
And great little bit of putty on the end.
Yeah, a bit of putty on the end to make sure it doesn't leak anywhere because you don't want hot wax everywhere.
No, I've done that. It's not funny.
Now remember when you're doing this, these are hot liquids. You can get burnt really easily if you're not careful. So
take great care.
Absolutely. Safety first. Alright.
And sometimes too, it's good to move that out of the way just a little bit, which isn't going to hurt because you're going to move it back to the centre once you've started pouring.
That's right. It won't have set by the time you...
Because you can see with that one, it doesn't give you much space either side to sort of not drip it down the side. So if you just move it back a bit while you do your first pour, no big drama.
Right. Are you ready, Bubbles?
I am.
Go for gold.
Off you go.
So, mine's going to be pink at the top, blue at the bottom, yes?
Yes. So, are we going to let them set halfway?
Yes. So what I'm going to do is just pour it in.
So, and the joy about these pots too, while your wax is just sitting there in these, the bottom's hot, so your wax doesn't start to set because it's keeping it at a really good temperature.
Exactly.
Alrighty. So,
yours is going to be blue at the bottom.
What I'm going to do is just go like that, because you know what I will do otherwise.
Yep. Oh, that's pretty.
About even?
Yep.
How close did we get? Oh, how good is that?
Right, so now move your wick back into the centre of the tube.
And we're going to let that, we're going to pause for a minute.
Yep, we're going to pause here, let that sit for about 15 minutes. Make sure it's started to harden and gone firm.
So that way our colours don't blend and we get the two-tone colours.
That way you get two totally separate individual colours.
Alrighty, we'll be back.
Okie dokie.
Alrighty, so we've set it there for a good 10 minutes maybe?
Yeah, probably 10-15 minutes.
Yep.
Just let it firm up a little bit before we add the next colour.
Alright, so I can still move that a little bit. I'm stealing your pink.
Oh, what?
Please don't mix in. Oh, so far so good.
Look at it, look at it, look at it.
Yes! Success. That's exciting.
Alright, now fill it up to the top. Perfect.
Alright.
Now with that, as it cools, it will shrink.
Yeah, it drops a
No
bit.
big deal because it goes into a candle holder anyway.
That's right. So, don't knock it, Carly. Don't knock it. We both pour from different angles. That's funny. You find your own way, don't you?
That you do. Alright.
Move them back to the centre so they sit like that. Look at that, two-tone. I'm going to class that as a success. So what we might do now, we can pause again. We're going to put all our bits and pieces together and bring out a final product.
Yep. And if you've got wax that's left over, you can either pour them into silicone moulds that you've got laying around or pour one into the other, let it harden. No big deal.
Mini seashells.
You can reuse it at a later date if you like. You just put it back in the warmer and melt it down and away you go.
Yeah, we've got a big cook pot too, haven't we?
We do.
But for smaller projects, this is
ideal for just
this is ample.
one candle each or whatever. For bigger stuff, and then we've got a big industrial one that works really well. So Alright, we'll press pause here and come back with more. Right, so these have been demoulded now after a couple of days. So what we're going to do is use some sandpaper on a tile. What's that, 40 grit? And Bubbles is just going to do little circles as you sand it. And that should make the back nice and flat. Oh, look at it. Lovely. Perfect. Alright, and what we'll do is we'll glue some cork on the back of those and we'll go from there.
Alrighty, and we are back. So what we did in the process while we went away, we got our moulds out and we gave them some great little decorations here. So you can see Wombat got all fancy with these little flowers. He even used a piece of wick here, which I thought was really clever as the stem of the flower. And then what we did, once we got our candles out of our moulds as well, we decided we'd get the candle paint pens out. And I tell you what, compared to normal paint pens, they were a challenge for me. Just to be able to, you got to be able to squeeze and move, and it was a whole lot of fun though. So you can see Picasso next to me went all out with his flowers on his candles.
Yeah, I did.
I went a bit more abstract. I got the Dali in me come out.
I went nuts, look at that.
But yeah, it was
3D
just
flowers and a little love heart and then more flowers.
really, really cute actually. I was super impressed with that one. But this is just a fun project. You can even do over a few weeks with family, grandkids, or your kids, or even just for yourself for extra gifts at Christmas time. You don't get much more personal than that, do you? You've made your base, you've made your candle.
So they're the candle paint pens. That's just a squeezable wax. And the patterns that are on there, like the butterflies and the leaves and the little flowers, they are laser cut MDF.
Yeah,
So they've just painted up and glued on.
Little wooden cutouts we got hold of. So
Super easy to do.
and just fun. So then we even had leftover wax, so we made some really cool little flowers and a little Mr. Honeybee man there.
Alright, so we zoom in. Check those suckers out. How cool are they?
So we just,
And they're just waxed. You can use them as decoration pieces, or you can put a wick in them, I suppose, and burn them off.
yeah, we didn't get that far because we were a bit excited once we had leftover wax and thought, quick, to the next mould.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it was just a fun little project, something different to do.
Definitely. Heaps of fun.
I think it come out pretty cool at the end.
Yeah.
So, and the good thing is with these paint pens that they're wax paint, so
They are.
nothing toxic or harmful there.
I mean, you don't have to burn these as actual candles. You can use them as a decoration piece or, whatever. It's entirely up to you.
But yeah, just something fun, something different. Let the creative talent flow.
Yeah. Just remember, when you're using candle wax, it is hot. You will get burned if you're not careful with it.
Oh, definitely.
Same with the plaster of Paris. It is a powder. Wear a mask. You don't want to breathe that crap in because that sets with the moisture in your lungs. You don't want that stuff hardening in there.
No, and good tip too, always cold water with your plaster.
Yeah, and same with the mica powders. Whenever you use mica powders, wear a mask. It's not hard. Just an N95 mask. Everybody would have them still from our stupid lockdown days, but
Absolutely, so they come in handy for arts and crafts.
that they do.
Protect your lungs, safety always first, but then again, and then second after safety, have fun.
Absolutely. So if you want to give these a go, have fun with it.
Absolutely, and I mean, sky's the limit. You think about it, you're giving it to gifts for people, you can use different coloured dyes, paints, make it custom made to the person you're giving it to.
Yep, I mean there's plenty of places that sell candle kits.
Yeah, nice and cheap.
You can go online, buy the actual kits, or if you want to go that one step further, pick a reputable candle company that sells the wax, wicks, things like that. All the information's on their websites, which tells you how hot to melt the wax to, what sort of candles they're perfect for, whether they're pillar candles or tea light candles or whatever.
Absolutely, because wax for these type of ones, different to ones that go in your glass jars.
Absolutely. Anything that's a pillar candle is a harder wax.
And as we found out with the softer wax, if you put it in one of these moulds,
it doesn't come out.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So we live and learn.
That we do. Alright, so that is it from us this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more of these crafty type videos, let us know and we'll make some.
Absolutely.
If not, we'll stick to painting.
Absolutely. We do both.
Yeah, it's entirely up to you guys. So.
But once again, thank you always for watching. We're really happy that you're following our adventures. It just makes us smile and it keeps our channel going.
That it does. So, on that note, have fun, take care, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a fantastic day and have fun.